Hey, Shalom. First, I want to give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh in the name of Yahweh Shai. Double honors to the apostles and elders, a great millstone. Peace and blessings to the hopeful like the house of David. Let's get into this. This is going to be, don't be a abuser to your wife or children, or your servants. Don't be a abuser, you know, because that comes from a place of weakness, of insecurity, you know that real toxic masculinity, you know, you know. Cause we're gonna get scriptures on that. Cause a lot of it's a lot of these camps don't even touch on these scriptures, cause they think it's okay a man can put his hand on his wife cause she's his possession. Nah, bro. Nah. I know there's a lot of men that be like, oh, nah. They trying to bring an account up against a brother, but the man be like, nah. Let's not talk about how a man deals with his wife. Nah. Scripture says otherwise. And we're gonna get into it, man. Because there's a lot of people there's a lot of Jake. And when I say Jake, I ain't just talking about the so-called black man. I'm talking about these Israelites that's up, that know they're Israelites, that just want to be a nigga with fringes. They just want to be a nigga with fringes. First we want to get this and stuff. I'm trying not to make too much noise, background noise, because his phone pick up so much noise it be irritating me, but I can't help it. It's just his phone. This is Ecclesiasticus chapter 40 verse 30. Listen. Be not as a lion in thy house, nor frantic among thy servants. You all up on them. You all being a taskmaster. You got your house and your house is in just straight fear when you arrive, to the point they don't want you there. The only time they feel like they have a peace of mind is when you're not there. They be like, finally, he's gone. Or the kids be like, finally, dad's gone. Or finally, he's gone. The only time they can get peace is when you at work or when you're away from the house. That's when you know that you're being a lion in your own house. When comfort leaves when you're around. I remember I was talking to Jake, right? Old Jake, old school Jake, right? And he was talking about old people. Like even before people stopped doing these family reunions and stuff like that, when family reunion was a big thing. Even I remember family reunion when I was young. I hated them when I was young. I been stopped going to them, but anyway, I remember it's like it was talking about this old person. They say, "Why you so bitter?" That's why nobody wants to be around you. That's why you're lonely. That's why you're bitter. When family start being strange to you, why? Because you're bitter. Women can be a lion, you do that junk too. Especially them old women. Now they sons and daughters, not they kids. Now they kids don't want to be around them. They find each and every excuse not to come. They find each and every excuse not to be around. But rightfully so. Cause what you was a lion in our own house, and you was frantic among thy servants. You just show that you're just a miserable person. Listen to this. This is Ecclesiasticus 33 verse 29. Before I get this, because it's supposed to be like, your people, the people in your own house, the people of your own house, they're supposed to be happy that you're back. They be like, Father's back. My husband back. The Lord's back. You know, they're supposed to hold you in honor. And guess what? They're supposed to hold you in reverence. And guess what reverence also mean? Fear. People just think, the scripture, when they talk about fear, is talking about that having people in fright. No. Reverence. When somebody reverence you, I know some of y'all brothers be like, some of y'all brothers or people who listen be like, what about that scripture that says, thy wife should serve you in trembling, you know? Have you ever seen a woman at a concert and she has so much, reverence for this actor or singer that he started screaming, that he started trembling, Now, of course, the woman's supposed to be that somewhat fear is supposed to be there, not to cheat on you, not to disobey you, but not in the way like, man, if I forget to wash the dishes right now, he gonna punch me out. If I forget to wash the dishes, he gonna yell at me for 30 minutes. Nah. He might correct you. He might ask why. A righteous man, a good man. Let me say that. Might ask, hey, why this ain't done? Why that ain't done? Ask for explanation, stuff like that. But he ain't finna and just blow up and go ballistic on his wife or ballistic on his children. That's something the black man, I'm gonna say the so-called black man, learned in captivity. They blow up when they see, especially the old Jake, they blow up when that used to happen. And that's why a lot of them are lonely, because they children don't want to be around them, So learn how to rule, learn how to apply force without aggression, applying force without aggression, because before I get the scriptures, I want to talk about this subject. Because you have these I call them fake masculinity dudes, these macho dudes and shit like that. They try to always push. Nah, it's a right way of pushing and a wrong way of pushing. You got the wrong way of pushing where you can push someone over and off the edge. You trying to break them to the next level. Nah. If you see them, they doing they doing something good, and they continue on it, you be like, yeah, that's it. Keep going. Hey, nah. You got it. Not, yeah. I believe you can. I can believe you go further. Here's 10 more weights. 10 more weights. And he be like, he ain't even there yet, man. Nah, if he ain't there yet, encourage him or her to keep going with the weight they have. Be like, nah, you got it, and eventually you'll be able to do some more. Like, nah, you did good this time. Hey, you did good. Keep it up. They be like, nah, you can do better. I want to see you practically dying out there. Go die. That shit. That's stupid shit. Yeah. It's we got, as men, we got to learn how to apply restraint. Because I know we be wanting to push them for their better. But like, you trying to hurry up and push them to the goal. But nah. That takes patience too. And as husband, man, gardeners, what I mean, we learn that it takes patience to grow a plant. It takes patience to grow vegetation. You can't bully it. You can't bully into it producing fruits. You can't bully into producing fruits. Nah, you have to be patient. You have to continue watering it. What happens when you overwater it? You can kill the plant that way. You can kill the plant by overwatering it. You know, we have to learn how to be proper nurturers. And what? That's include among our own household. Learn how to properly nurture your wife. Learn how to properly nurture your children. Learn how to properly nurture your brethren. You know, and Lord willing, if we make it and we make it into the kingdom, you learn how to do that with your servants. You know. And the time to come. I ain't talking about 1,000 years now, because 1,000 years, that's gonna be different. That's gonna be payback, especially on Esau Edom. That's a whole nother subject. That's a whole nother subject. But let's get this scripture. I've been holding it for a minute. And dang, I've been rambling. This is Ecclesiasticus chapter 33, verse 29. Listen, 29 to 30. But be not excessive towards any, what I was just speaking on. Be not excessive towards any, and without discretion do nothing. Without discretion. Without discretion do nothing. You know? Without discretion do nothing. You know? Hold back. You know? Aim that strength. You know? Moderate that. That's a better word. Moderate that strength before you all go into it. But like, this is how much pressure I need to put. This is how much pressure I need to apply right now. I don't need to apply my full force. I don't need to apply this much strength, this much this much bravado. Nah, let me apply this much. You know? This is Ecclesiasticus 7 and verse 23. Listen. Hast thou children? You hear that? Instruct them, and bow down their neck from their youth. Hast thou daughters? Have a care of their body, and show not thyself cheerful, towards them. Marry thy daughter, and thou shalt have performed a weighty matter, but give her a man to understanding. You give her a man, but give her to a man of understanding. You don't got to be, just often, run down it. You ain't got to be friends to your children, You ain't got to be friends to your children, but you ain't got to be the enemy. You ain't got to be the zookeeper, the ringleader, Yeah, I know some of y'all don't actually know what a ringleader is, The ringleader, he will be the leader, but also that ringleader was known to be just an incredible asshole, You know how to be whipping the lion, whipping everything, being the bastard to the rest of the circus, You ain't gotta be that. You ain't gotta be friends with them. But you're not supposed to be. What's the word I'm looking for? You don't have to be the taskmaster to them. Don't be Pharaoh to them. As their daughters, have care of their body, be aware of them. Show not thyself cheerful towards them. Marry thy daughter, and so shalt thou have performed a weighty matter, but give her to a man of understanding. This is, you're guiding with wisdom and care, not abuse. You're guiding with wisdom and care, not abuse. Under having that understanding. You know? This is I gotta find it first. Slot. Here it is. This is Colossians chapter 3, verse 19. Listen. Husbands, love thy wives and be not bitter against them. You know, that's going to what? Bitter against them. This is not just talking about physical abuse. This is talking about emotional abuse. You know? This is also talking about emotional abuse. Be not bitter. Husband, love your wives and be not bitter towards them. You know, you neglecting her, you ignoring her. You know, you doing all this, this, what they say, giving her the cold shoulder. Nah. If you're gonna be a dumbass, if you're gonna be an asshole, you shouldn't got a wife. You know, you were not a man of understanding. You know, but sometimes, I mean, I ain't gonna speak on this too much because sometimes, you know how people, we still in this flesh, or people have their days and stuff like that. But don't do this. This shouldn't be your way with your wife consistently. Consistently. Sometimes y'all might need to separate. You go in that room. She in that room. You might go out for a ride and get a drink or something. I don't know. But you shouldn't be bitter. That what scripture says, let not the sun go down on what? On your wrath. This is Ephesians 6, verse 4. Listen. And if fathers provoke not your children to wrath. Bro, I remember hearing this so much, like hearing the first part so much, like this one right here. Verse 2, honor thy father and thy mother, which is the first commandment and promise. After that, in the church, you don't hear nothing else. They'll get that scripture and run off. They'll quote that scripture and run off. That's why parent and children relationship is so messed up. This is why you have a relationship with brethren so messed up. Because they didn't continue to read. Listen what verse 4 say. And if ye be fathers, provoke not your children to wrath, but bring them up in the nurture and abomination of the Lord. That's the way you got to be with brothers too. Your sisters too. Your wives too. Provoke not your children to wrath. You constantly saying stuff. You constantly doing stuff to piss them off. You constantly being a demon over them, a taskmaster over them. You constantly being a hell demon over them. Nah, again, you ain't got to be friends with them. But you have to be a nurturer. You have to be a what? A husbandman. Patient. Nurturing. Sometimes you got to trim it. So they won't get in the way. Won't get in the way of other plants growing. And also you're cutting off all the things that can hinder their growth. But you're not being a demon. You're not just plucking them out. You're not just doing anything, ripping off their leaves. Being unaware of them, cracking their branches. Nah. You're being a proper nurturer. This is Ephesians chapter 5, verse 28. Listen. So ought men to love their wives as their own bodies. He that loveth his wife loveth himself. And I'm going to pause right there. How many of y'all beating yourselves with a belt? So why you going to hit your woman with a belt? How many of y'all punching yourselves, slapping yourselves on the arm hard as you can? Why the hell would you do that to your wife? Why the hell would you do that to your wife? Your helpmeet. What scripture says you can't abuse yourselves? You can't abuse yourselves. Don't cut your own flesh. You can't cut your own flesh. You can't cut into your own flesh. You can't, because remember, when you join to a wife, well, you are one flesh. You can't pluck your beard. You can't rip out your own beard while you snatching her hair. While you leaving scars on them. While you leaving bruises on them. You doing that to your own body? No? No? Then you're a damn hypocrite. You understand that? You understand that? Verse 29. For no man ever hated his own flesh, but nurtureth and cherisheth it, and even as the Lord of the church. You see? You hear that? You hear that? Man. A lot of Israel just brought that. A lot of Israel, especially what I used to see in these other camps, a lot of Israel just brought niggerhood into being a Hebrew Israelite. That's it. This is Proverbs 11 and 29. Listen. He that troubleth his own house shall inherit the wind, and the fool shall be servant to the wise of heart. You know, you troubling your own house, you just, that's gonna be on your own head. You causing your own destruction. You're causing your own destruction. Listen, this is 1 Peter chapter 3, verse 7. Listen. Likewise, ye husband, dwell with them according to knowledge, giving honor unto the wife as honor to the weaker vessel, and as being heirs together of grace of life, that your prayers be not hindered. That your prayers be not hindered. Because if you are, guess what? If you're doing the opposite of this, what scripture saying? He ain't even hearing your prayers. You get that? Listen, let's read that again. Ye husbands, dwell with them according to knowledge, giving honor unto the wife as the weaker vessel. And if you're not doing that, the Most High is not even hearing your prayers. As being heirs together of grace of life, that your prayers be what? Not hindered. So if you're doing the opposite of the scripture saying, what? You're hindering your own prayers. The Most High ain't even hearing you. The Most High is not even hearing you. And what mean like being giving her honor as the weaker vessel? What is a weaker vessel? Y'all know how people used to act around fine china. That's giving honor to a weaker vessel because it'll break easily. Niggas don't do that. Niggas be hitting their woman as hard as they can. Niggas be, ragdolling them woman. Now, I'm not saying brothers in the truth. Right? When I say this, I'm talking about, how men be, especially how our broken nation be. Like, damn. Nigga, you tripping. But I don't know, there's probably some brothers in this truth, that don't know of this, that hearing this is acting this way. The Most High don't have a duty list for nothing. Don't be trying just because your woman hit you. Don't power up and go Super Saiyan on them. The hell? Calm your ass down. Give honor to her as a weaker vessel. Just because, you burnt your lips on a cup, don't go and throw the damn cup down on the ground and shatter it, Listen, I got two more. This is Titus chapter 1, verse 7. Listen. For a bishop must be blameless as a steward of Yahweh Shemel Shai, not self-willed, not soon angry, not given to wine, not a striker, not given to filthy lucre. You know, you have to be you can't be quick-tempered or violent. Now this is coming from a hothead, and that's something I'm working on. Like, I hate being tried. Well, I mean tried like a nigga trying me. I hate being that, but I've learned to control that. And the apparatus I continue it and have better control. Now I haven't been that way, towards women and anything, but just when it comes out to the street stuff, nigga running up on me, nigga being smart, nigga trying me, saying slick shit. I can be quick to anger and shit like that, or quick tempered. But we all must control that, especially for your helpmeet, especially for the weaker vessel, especially for your children, especially those that serve under you. You can't be hot-headed, quick-tempered towards them, especially them, especially your brethren, Nah, we have to be patient. We have to be a husband towards them. A gardener, a nurturer, Each time I say husband, I'm talking about, being a gardener. That's why I keep saying that. This is Malachi 4, starting at verse 14. This is Malachi 2, starting at verse 14. Yea, ye say, wherefore, because the Lord hath been witness between thee and the wife of thy youth, against whom thou dealt treacherously, yet she thy companion and thy wife of thy covenant, and did not he make one? Yet he had the residue of spirit, and wherefore one that he might seek a godly seed. Therefore take heed to your spirit, and let none deal treacherously against the wife of thy youth. Verse 16, for the Lord thy power of Israel said that he hated putting away for the covenant, for one covered violence with his garment, said the Lord of hosts. Therefore take heed to your spirit, that ye deal not treacherously. Don't be treacherously, The Lord hate putting away, And as the scripture says, I remember Yahweh Shai said this. He said, it because the hardness of your heart that Moses wrote all those things about divorce, what you can do and all that. But the Most High was like, nah. In the beginning, there was no putting away your woman. Once you went to her, she was yours. You see, we couldn't let lust control us, because that woman was yours. What, you ain't like her personality? After you found out she was annoying, she probably have an annoying laugh. She might probably have an annoying personality, something that doesn't rock with yours, vibe with yours. You should have found that out before you popped her. Now she's yours. And the Most High hates putting away. So, we can't be too, as men, we can't be too frantic to get into that just for some, just for some of that soft stuff. We have to be wise. We can't let this flesh override our senses. And we know that's, that's one hell of a battle, especially in these chains of darkness, So, hey, I'm gonna call it to the close, bitch. I'm gonna just drop the other ones. So, hey, I hope this was edified, and I hope this helped. And with that, I hope you was edified. Again, I want to give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh in the name of Yahweh Shai. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone. Peace and blessings to the hopeful elect, the house of David. Until next time, Yahweh willing, Shalom.